Oh my goodness. Is there a season 2 of House of the Dragon coming? Do I have my friends Tim and Nettles with me? Is this a pregame show? Hello, friends. Hello, friends. Hello, Tim. Hello,
Hi.
Nettles. Thanks for joining me.
Hello, hello.
And yes, we are one day away from House of the Dragon season 2. The hype is real. I'm seeing ads for it on basketball games, on political podcasts. I mean, they are really, really slamming the hype meter. And early reviews are out. Sounds like it's pretty dramatic. We've heard some good things about some of the acting and stuff. I have not seen any of the episodes. I am unspoiled, as are my co-hosts. And last year we did the after show every week. As are my co-hosts. And we did it live. We did a live reaction style as I kill the time loop here. There we go. No time loop. And that's what we're going to be doing again. You know, one thing about I did get to see the premiere early last year. But I did not get the screeners because then it sort of like the screeners are helpful if you are making produced videos on Monday morning. But I feel like for the live reaction after the show, it's a lot more fun if you get us fresh off of our reaction just like you. So that's how we're going to do it all season. We're going to be doing the after party after every episode with Tim and Nettles and maybe some other people. And we'll all be coming in unspoiled and fresh and excited and freaked out and needing a hug. So that's how we'll be doing it. And just real quick, if you don't know my friends, I'll just introduce them real quick. Gray Waist Tim, of course, has a YouTube channel called Gray Waist Tim. Folks, always name your YouTube channel after your handle. Keep that the same. Makes it easy for you to find. So we got Gray Waist Tim channel and the Girl Nettles channel. And Tim, give us 60 seconds on what the good friends can find on your channel.
I'm a man who wears many hats, but my big thing is the Lovecraftian influences on George R.R. Martin's writing. And along with that, there's also a good number of meme videos that have been pretty popular. And then whatever strikes my fancy. The Godfather influences, the Dangerous Oranges have also been a very fun one. Something that kind of comes out of nowhere, but once you notice it, you'll never stop seeing it.
Nettles, Tim is talking about wearing many hats, but look at that shirt that he's got on. Tim, what do you got? Some grails and some ships in there?
Oh, yes, yeah.
I love your shirt.
Yeah, the Great Beast of and the big sharp pointy teeth. Yes, this is a tapestry from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. It's my beach outfit.
Well, I think you know how I feel about that. And then Nettles, of course.
Hi everyone. I'm Nettles. I'm a big goofball. I have a channel for goofing off where I do like drunk history and things like that. Today I'm wearing green. I'm wearing a green dress because today I'm feeling like being sympathetic to Team Green. I've really been feeling them lately, and I can almost guarantee that I won't be feeling them for the rest of the season. So this will be the day that I'll be sympathetic towards them. But David, I want to see your shirt. It looks mythical.
Well, this is a Praise Garth t-shirt, and it is available on our Bonfire store, linked below, along with Reading Rhaegar shirt and Nana Vagar and a couple other things. So, yeah, I figured it's a pre-party, you know. So, Garth is like Team Green, but not that Team Green. So, we do have, guys... Thing. After many requests and many months, I have updated our emojis. We do have Nettles and Tim emojis so that you can support Nettles when we argue and flash Tim. Actually, they're black cat emojis. They're Damon emojis. So when Damon,
sorry, you said flash Tim. And so I did this.
Well, let's not get demonetized, Nettles. Let's not. And yeah, I have enough trouble with Tim's potty mouth. Or just reading the text, actually. I got 2 streams demonetized. The Blackfire stream, Tim, got demonetized just for reading John Connington's dialogue. Salty sailor talk, that John Connington. In any case. So, look, guys, here's what we're going to do. We've got a little structure. Instead of just going live and just talking, or just going through scene by scene like a robot, we've come up with with a gimmick. We got a gimmick here. TV shows need gimmicks. So we've got kind of these questions here. Scene of the week, what surprised us, Dragonfire takes such as hot takes, who won the episode. That's an acting question. So that's like what performance moved us the most, and then who's winning the war. We'll sort of check in on Team Green and Team Black. We'll move around. We'll do these sections in whatever order makes sense, so it's not going to be too rigid. And then, of course, as you can see, we've got blanks for all of our answers. And small folk, you are the small folk. We are all Team Small Folk. But you in the chat, we will be polling you on each of these questions as we answer them. Then we'll record all the answers there. I've got Maynard James Plum behind the scenes doing all this stuff. So during the season, we'll be doing this for each episode. So what was the scene of the week? Since we're pre-gaming, I figured we could do sort of like predictions. Which one is Tim and which one is Nettles? Very funny, Farrah. Very funny. Tim's obviously the one with the dreadlocks. So yeah, so that's kind of how we're gonna do it. So as far as predictions, scene of the week is we're gonna have to adapt that. So it's more like, what are we most looking forward to? It can be a scene or a moment, something we're expecting. If we're talking fire and blood stuff, then be vague so we don't spoil. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, like we're looking forward to seeing if Rhaena can claim a dragon, or characters that we know will appear. So I'm obviously looking forward to Krieg and Stark. I just made a Jason Bela video, talked all about the prophecy in the North. That's definitely what I'm looking forward to. Just what are we going to do? Is there going to be prophecy talk? We're going to see White Walkers. Give me some Starks. I heard Cregan studied, the actor that is playing Cregan studied Ned Stark, and he's going to try to remind us of Ned. So it's going to be feels. But yeah, that's definitely what I am looking forward to. And I will turn it over to either one of you guys. Who wants to go first?
For scene of the week, I guess, yeah, elephant in the room, I'll be obvious. Yeah, I want, well, without going into fire, I want to see the human heart in conflict. So there's a scene that I think where we'll have to, see someone make a choice, and so
you're looking forward to blood and cheese, Nettles. Is that it?
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to see how it's portrayed because, I love
most foul.
All of that. I love the books, but sometimes there's like that magic moment where you have a scene play out in your head from the books, and then a director chooses to portray it in a way that makes it even better than what you imagine. Usually your imagination's better, but sometimes what they show you is better than what your imagination could do.
Yeah, we saw that on Game of Thrones. Even though obviously we're book purists around here and stuff, there were still some scenes that translated on the show that hit more impactfully than they ever did in the books, simply because the medium is different. TV is very immersive. We get the faces, the emoting of the actors. And so, yeah, there were definitely some moments where watching the TV show, especially on early seasons, where I was very grateful for the show existing, no matter what other complaints I had, and still feel this way, because they brought all the stuff to life, So, yeah, I definitely think Blood and Cheese is one of those moments, like the Red Wedding or any of the tragic events that are in the story. Of course, George likes to dabble in horror a little bit. And so anytime, you're adapting something like that, it's like, oh, they're really going to show it? Are they really going to make this happen? And how are they going to do it? Are they going to cut away skillfully at a certain second? Are we just going to hear something instead of see it? But there are obviously horrors and dark turns coming, and that is what Nettles is excited for, of course.
I am what I am.
Well, it will be interesting to see how they adapt that. So, let me just give a shout out. Maynard Plum, do we have Maynard Plum action? Can I get a Maynard Plum? We're looking for, he's not like down here, is he? Come on. So I've got, there he is. So my aunt, Girl Nettles, is looking forward to Blood and Cheese. I am looking forward to Krieg and Stark. Tim, what do you got?
The Wild Dragons.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing the Wild Dragons on screen. I'm hoping that we get a bit more get to see more of their personalities show forward, and get to see more about this. More, if this will give us more answers, or if this will just open up more questions when it comes to the dragon bond and how one is forged.
Yeah, and each one of the people that ride the wild dragons are interesting. And so this is what I mean by mild spoilers. Like, we're not going to get into the nitty gritty of it, but yes, Damon was talking about there's wild dragons. So I've made a video about it. Some of them have been ridden before, some of them haven't. And they're talking about trying to find riders. They are going to try to find riders. We've seen some of them in the previews, and they are some pretty interesting characters. Hugh the Hammer, Ulf the White. Obviously, I made a whole video about Nettles. So Nettles, let's talk about this. Now, I know that you when you do performances in Hollywood, you have to sign non-disclosure agreements. So I'm not sure how much you could say, but the rumor is that you shot scenes for the show, but we don't know if the character is going to be on this season or not. What can you tell us?
You know, they're just really serious about us not talking about it. So I can't say what sets I have or haven't been on. You know, so
What about Sheep Stealer? Do we have it? Have you seen Sheep Stealer? Are we going to see Sheep Stealer in season 2?
all I could say is yes. And that's as far as I could go.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I don't have $30 million for a lawsuit, so
Yes, lawyers are expensive. Well, in any case, we will wait and see if Nettles appears to ride Sheep Stealer or what's going on with that. Obviously, I made a whole video about that, but the Dragon Seeds, I'm definitely looking forward to that. And it's one of those things where, like, we saw Aemond claim Vagar, right? Mm-hmm. And it went okay. It was like, okay, the 11-year-old claim, or the 9-year-old or whatever it was, he claimed this giant dragon. Obviously, there's magic involved and stuff. But you saw it was kind of dicey. Like, he's terrified. The dragon's looking at him. It opens its mouth. The fires are warm. Like, should I eat you? Should I not? And then he shows the bravery to climb up. But claiming a dragon is a dicey thing. It is not a guarantee just because you have the dragon blood, right? So,
yeah. Although, one thing that gives me hope with Nettles is, so if you didn't catch it, Gray Area and the Ladies of Direwolf City did their own pregame show this past Thursday. Apparently, there was an interview with Ryan Condal where he was asked directly about Nettles, and his answer was he didn't want to go into specifics about a character that hadn't been introduced yet. So that answer does give me hope that Nettles will appear. That he didn't confirm or deny, but to say that hasn't been introduced yet, that doesn't say cut. That just means, we'll just have to wait and see. So fingers crossed.
Yes. But why aren't they doing that with any other character? Why is everyone else? It's just like, oh, this person's been cast. Here's pictures of them on set. Like, I don't know. What
we haven't seen any Alice Rivers pictures. They're kind of keeping that one under wraps. We're going to see her this season, but we haven't seen any shots of that. So
yeah, but
I
still,
think it could be that kind of thing. And I think my guess is that there will be some truth to the rumors about Rhaena, and that they might set up the whole thing by having Rhaena sight Sheep Stealer, track him, and then eventually claimed by Nettles or something. We'll see. I don't think they're going to throw away the character. I really don't. I hope not, obviously. And it makes sense. The Vale is not far from Driftmark and Dragonstone and all that stuff. And we know that the Vale is full of sheep. So, of course, Sheep Stealer is going to visit the Vale. That makes sense to me. Okay, and so we've got the poll here. Thank you, Maynard Plum. Just pay attention to what's going on. So, yeah. And I guess we should also, like, if it's something else, like, call out in the chat what you guys are excited for. If you haven't been doing that already, you probably have, I'm guessing. But from the choices that we have said, Wild Dragons is in the lead with 39, Cregan Stark 26, Blood and Cheese 21, and Something Else 15. So it looks like we did a good job of picking some of the most exciting stuff. And you guys are voting for something else. What are we excited for? Rook's Rest, Alice Rivers.
Rook's Rest, wow.
More Dragon Pit. Let me just make this window taller so I can see it.
Bend the knee to Stark.
Cannibal. I'm watching Fabian's Insta to see which new actresses and actors he's going to follow. Hey, thanks. Yeah. Let us know what you find.
Like, if you were to ask me what specific wild dragon I'm most excited for, it is the cannibal.
The cannibal.
The cannibal.
I just want to know how he ends. Like, that's what I want. Like, what happens?
Yeah, cannibal is straight up deep lore. Like, yeah. Like, who is it, a Targaryen dragon, or was it a pre-Targaryen dragon? And why does he give Corlys a flyby? You know, there are questions.
Why is he so mean? That's the big one.
Well, he's a dragon. I don't think he needs an excuse.
I mean, we know that, something brings an end to the dragons, and I think it's the same thing that brings an end to the magic in this world. But we'll
Cannibal
see.
the Dragon is on YouTube, he says. He's in the chat. Very good. Is it just like snuff films of you killing young dragons, or what? What's going on there with that YouTube channel? Of course, so the theory with Cannibal, he is known for eating the young dragons. He raids the hatcheries on Dragonstone. There is a theory, because no one knows how long Cannibal's been on Dragonstone, as opposed to like Sheepstealer, it says, oh, the dragon tamers were never able to tame Sheepstealer, but Sheepstealer hatched when Jaehaerys was young. So we assume that it hatched from the hatchery. They know how old it is. Cannibal, we don't know. And so the theory is that possibly Cannibal was from the Valyrians who were on Dragonstone before the Targaryens, because the Targaryens only moved to Dragonstone just before the Doom, which is 100 years before the Conquest. But Dragonstone was founded at least 100 years prior to that. So we have at least a century of Valyrians on Dragonstone who are not Targaryens. And it's possible, obviously, that they had dragons. One of those eggs left over, one of those dragons, is Cannibal.
Yep.
And the reason why he's killing all the young Targaryen dragons is because he's trying to kill off the rival bloodline. That's the theory.
Could be. Or he messed up guest right, and now he could only eat his young. Like the rat cook king, whatever.
It's just a different way of saying it. So, Tim, what's your feeling on Cannibal, since you mentioned him?
Yeah, I was, because Cannibal seems way older than he's let on. Like, it seems to be implied that Cannibal may be as old, if not older, than Balerion. And yeah, was he already there when the Targaryens reached Dragonstone, or did he hatch later? But it's still much, much older than what he lets on. Like, it's a mystery, but I'm all for it. I just want to see more of him.
And also, Cannibal is the symbol for the dragon eating its tail. Like a living embodiment of that, of like, I'm destructive to myself. Oh, David, you're on mute.
Just trying to break in the new season with the mute bringer. The obvious symbolism here, we've got a story about the Targaryens killing themselves, right? It's a family civil war. They're killing their own children. They're killing each other's children, okay? So that's probably why we've got the cannibal in the background of the story eating the young dragons on Dragonstone. Like, it's just enhancing the vibes of what's going on with the story. So, wild dragons.
People are saying Aurora Boreas in the chat.
Yeah.
That circulates them, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like an Ouroboros that gets smaller and smaller because the dragon's actually eating his own tail and not just holding on to it.
Yeah,
it's
smaller and smaller,
consuming. So what do you think could surprise us? So for me, like this, I'm gonna go back into what I was talking about with the quote from Bethany Antonia. She's saying pretty much all the young characters have either been aged up or just involved more. Okay, and so they're going to be doing stuff more often. So we see Bela and Moondancer. She's riding her dragon earlier in the war. She's going to be at Rook's Rest. So I was saying, not only is that interesting, but she could be involved then in other scenes. We saw Laenor on Sea Smoke in the Stepstones. That wasn't in the story. We've seen... see, who else was I thinking of? Helena. Helena is kind of just a bit character in Fire and Blood. Instead, they've given her this dreaming and prophecy gift, which ties her to Viserys and the prophecy knife, and gives her something to do during later phases of the story when we don't really hear much about her. So I think as far as what I'm looking forward to that's going to be surprising, it's those smaller moments from some of the younger characters that I'm looking forward to. But yeah, this could be about changes or just something you don't know what's going on. So what do you got for me, Tim?
Well, what surprised me in season 1 was them not killing Laenor off by allowing him and Carl to kind of escape and presumably have their happy ending somewhere. Because of, and that's not to say that like I want Laenor to die. It's just because it opens this new can of worms that a lot of us have been thinking about, which is how does this affect the Dragon Bond? Normally, the only time we know of a Dragon Bond ending is when either Ryder or Dragon dies. But here, technically, Ryder and Dragon are both still alive. So how is the connection going to be severed, and how is that going to open up Sea Smoke to a new Ryder when we get these dragon seeds? Are they just going to quickly say that something like, oh, Laenor died out in the Stepstone somewhere with Carl in some skirmish? Are they going to keep? Are we never going to get confirmation when Sea Smoke gets a new Ryder? Are we going to be left with this new question of, okay, what happened? What freed him up to have a new Ryder? If this link was broken, and if it wasn't death that broke the Dragon Bond and allowed for a new Ryder, then what is it now going on?
Your thoughts, Nettles?
For me, I think Aegon 2 will be the surprise.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I meant what I wanted to get your reaction to what Tim was saying about
To what Tim was saying.
Sea Smoke and
Oh,
Laenor. Yeah, before we move on. Yeah.
how much are we spoiling? Are we spoiling? Is this everything goes stream?
No. I don't really want to do specific spoilers if possible.
Yeah.
But you could talk in generalities.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have that answered, because the show did something different from the book by giving us a solution to the Laenor issue. Like, hey, he didn't, because in the book, like,
Someone else
you know
is
how,
going to ride Sea Smoke. We could say that. Yes. So
yeah,
like
yeah,
Laenor's gone. In the book, he died. In the show,
yeah,
he ran away. But eventually, someone else is going to ride Sea Smoke. So the question that we're chewing on, just to like outline this for you, is how are
yeah,
they going to do that?
yeah. I I'm just excited to see how they do that because it'll answer questions about maybe what happens with Laenor, but also more dragon lore, like how what it takes to sever a dragon bond. Can it be severed or
Mhm.
new information? So no, yeah, I like that, Tim.
So
Yeah,
for
is it like
me, with the Sea Smoke thing, Tim, I'm more like I don't have a problem if they say, "Oh yeah, you can release the dragon bond." Like Laenor just, I mean, the dragons are smart, right? So like if Laenor is like, "Yeah, see you later, bye bye," like there might be a way to do that. Because my biggest issue is Daemon and Rhaenyra letting Laenor go is one thing, but letting him take one of their dragons when they can see a war coming, that's what I like. I don't buy that. I don't see you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't let Laenor leave with his dragon. So to me, like if that's what they go with, I'll be a little surprised. Like, really, you let him fly off with his dragon? Letting him go is one thing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that too, to seeing how they resolve that. And then just real quick, Maynard Plum, my answer for this one was the young folk, essentially. What will the young folk do since their roles are all expanded? That's how I answered this one. So, Nettles, you were saying something about Aegon for your answer.
Yeah, if I was writing this, I would make Aegon 2 exactly like Jamie and make the audience fall in love with him. So the thing that would surprise me, I think, is showing Aegon 2's good side. And maybe it's him realizing that, like, oh, I have all these kids, but I actually cared about these ones, like these specific kids. And maybe, in Game of Thrones, everyone, like a lot of the main characters had to lose something that was part of their identity. Bran's legs, Theon's, member, and then Jamie's hands. And that's what started them on a different path. So I think maybe something could set Aegon 2 on a different path where now, we love him just as much as we love Rhaenyra.
I have heard the early reviews on the people who've seen the episodes and stuff say that Tom's acting as Aegon is just unreal. And from the clips that we have seen, I buy it. I believe it. I met Tom, of course. At the con a couple years ago, and all these people are like, they're actors. They have charisma. Like when you meet Corlys, who's the actor that plays Corlys, Steve Toussaint. He was walking around the con. He's 6'4". He's got this giant smile. Like he lit up every room he walked into. And Tom, obviously shorter, but had an incredible presence as well. And like, I don't know. I think this is like the role he was born to play. He's just basically eating this shit up, apparently. And I think there's a little bit of like Tyrion vibes where like, yeah, he's a bad person, but he's really funny. And he has a way of tweaking people's noses that makes you, like he's going to be tweaking Otto's nose the whole time. We're going to root for that. That's going to be fun, even though Aegon's a little shit. So I think that's how it's going to go. Yeah. Tim, what are your thoughts on Aegon? This is a good one.
Yeah, because from what I've read from what I've heard is that Aegon II is going to be the breakout character this season. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with him. Just from the stills I've seen online, especially like you used it for the thumbnail here, the way he's sitting in the Iron Throne, and it's like, oh man, you look relaxed, but you're going to cut yourself so easily on that if you aren't careful. And then I guess he has like his cronies, his mooks in the throne room with him, and they're all drinking. So yeah, it's just going to be like young party king. But then there's Aemond, and like I've been seeing the memes of like while Aegon was out partying, Aemond was out studying the sword. So it's going to be great to see like that relationship between them of Aegon being the king and Aemond having to be the one to like prop him up, but probably side-eyeing him the entire time.
I bet Aegon's take on Aemond is like, sweet, I don't have to do that. My brother's got that.
Yeah. Can I borrow some money? I need to put gas in the car.
That's if they weren't king. Yeah, I can totally see that. What's great, and like Tim was saying, if you're the king, you're never short of friends. Like if you want to have a drink and have some people laugh at your jokes, those people are always hanging around. So, okay, so we've got our poll here. Aegon II, Laenor Sea Smoke, Resolution, the Young Folk, or something else. And of course, if something else, type it in the chat and I'll try to read some of these. So we'll watch this poll go. Looks like we got some people interested in Aegon II. That was a good call. Yeah. And basically when I'm sitting here trying to make thumbnails for these streams, I try out a bunch of different pictures, and we put a lot of thought into this. I sit here with Maynard Plum. We look at 4 thumbnails. Oh, which one's going to make people click? Does it look good small? Does it look good big? The Aegon pictures are so easy to use. Like all of them look great. They're just like he's always making this interesting face. He's got a great pose. So yeah.
Go Tom.
Again, Alice Rivers. Yeah, Alice Rivers is. I got into Alice. By the way, I almost did Alice Rivers video, like just a total spoiler video, but I pretty much did that in the Harrenhal live stream that I did with Tim a couple weeks ago. So if you want some Alice Rivers preview action, check out our Harrenhal stream, where we covered How Strong. We talked about her for a good 15 or 20 minutes. It's my headcanon that Laenor becomes Recalio Rindoon since they have announced casting for the other admiral. That's cool. That would be funny as hell, actually.
Again, Recalio Rindoon has been casted, and I guess it's supposed to be a trans woman who's playing them.
So
wow,
it's Shikaro Lohar that you're talking about, but some people think that they combined the two characters. So.
Okay.
With the super chat, Alan says that Aegon is a young Henry V. And let me just real quick thank somebody else that dropped one. First things first, David, why does Aegon II look so much like Lord Farquaad in this image? Farquaad? I don't know who that is. Does anybody know?
That's from Shrek.
Oh.
The blonde, guy from Shrek. The prince.
Well, that's just an archetype, baby.
I
Coin
just want
for
to say
Space
that
Mead from Martin Crow. Sorry, go ahead, Nettles.
I just want to say that Recalio Rendoon is probably the best name in the entire Ice and Fire series.
When they show up, they need a pretty purple dress. That's all I want. That's my Recalia Rendoon wears a very pretty purple dress, and I want to see it on screen.
Right, and so Recalio Rundun, he's the one that was like ultra flamboyant and stuff, right?
Oh. Recalia Rendoon. He is the very definition of Hiroshi Captain General with information demonic, dragonic, and magical. He knows the kings of Westeros and all the towns historical, from King's Landing to Westeros and Order Categorical. Boom. Yeah, hit him with the Pirates of Penzance and walk away. Just walk away.
Nettles, what is going on?
Pirates of Penzance. I am the very model of
Hiroshi Captain General.
Yeah.
I just got a mic dropped on my head, and I don't even know where the mic came from.
It was a surprise mic drop.
Pirates of Penzance. I love musicals.
Okay, let me see those Tim emojis. If you're a squisher, you've got a Damon cat emoji. Let me see him. Let me see your black cats. They barely show up, but that's the thing about black cats. There we go. All right, guys,
Damon.
thank you. They're in there. You could just barely see them. All right.
Oh, that's a cool cat. No, that's cool.
I will
Damon,
have to give the cat a little outline or something, a little white outline. But
Damon, you need to answer for your crimes. The one you committed last season and all the cool crimes you're going to commit this season.
No.
many crimes, many crime hoods, many crimes.
No, Damon's a dad now. Someone asked, is it better to join the Patreon or become a member?
Whichever you find to be more fun. The members are $5 a month. Patreon has different levels. If you're giving, obviously, if you want to give more than $5 a month, then Patreon's away. But yeah, if you're just trying to support the program, whichever seems to be more fun for you is fine. Either one will get you an invite to our Discord, which is a safe and happy place to discuss House of the Dragon without all the ugly stuff that you find on the internet. Mio says, just a quick thank you. First time catching a live. Good to have you. Good to see you. Like the cut of your jib. Appreciate you. So Aegon II was the verdict from the poll.
Woohoo! I don't know what I won, but I feel like I won.
Well, you put your finger on the pulse of the fandom, Nettles. So, let's do who won the season first. Let's talk about the acting, then we'll get to the hot takes. So when you think of the acting on season 1, and there's a lot of good performances. So just because we say somebody doesn't mean it's better than somebody else. But what actor moved you the most in season 1?
Nettles. Oh, easy, Viserys. What's King? That's
Patty
my
Considine.
king. Patty. I mean,
Yeah.
the text is written so skeleton-like that it's hard to clamp onto these characters. But there's characters that I loved in the text, and there's characters that I never thought about through the text, but I loved because of the show. But Viserys, loved him in the text. Loved Patty's portrayal of him just from start to finish. I could never hate him. People would talk crap on Twitter. Oh, weak king. He should have done this, should have done that. I'm like, no, he was perfect.
And that's the thing about a good performance, right? We're just talking about Tom and drawing us into Aegon, even though we know he's a mess. Yeah. Same thing for Viserys. Like, all the criticisms are quite valid. They are. But the character is so relatable that, you really can't help but take his side and empathize with him and point the finger at Otto and that's a good call. It's going to be hard to top that. I've got a pick, but go ahead, Tim. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I was already expecting great things from Matt Smith as Daemon. I mean, he's already a phenomenal actor. Doctor Who, the only good thing about Morbius when he morbs all over those guys. But Patty Considine, especially when Daemon is helping him up to the throne when he's like literally falling apart. But for new actors, in the first half of the show, Millie Alcock as the young Rhaenyra, She did great. I think she captured especially that essence of being like a moody teenager who's had so much thrust upon you. Especially that scene where she's in the Godswood and she's telling, I think his name was Sam, the lute player, like play that song again. Like that's
Play it
such
again.
yeah, hitting the same song on your Spotify. That's such a mood.
Repeat.
Repeat.
No, it's like the DJ when everyone at the club is too excited and they keep calling for rewinds, and he's just like, let me play my set, man. So what's your pick then? Which one of those two?
I guess I'll go with Millie Alcock just because she's new. She's like Matt Smith and Patty Considine are established, so. But to see the new actors really bringing it forward.
Okay, I like that. I think Millie was incredible. I really did. So my pick. And this wouldn't have been my pick on the first watch, but I rewatched the season, and on the rewatch, I can only answer Olivia Cook. She, like, when you watch her scenes more carefully, like when you've already got the plot set in and you're watching the fine detail, her performance is just incredible. Some of those scenes, the foot scene, okay, it's uncomfortable. It's got a lot going on. Her facial acting, the way she portrays these conflicting emotions of this is uncomfortable. I'm not really comfortable with ordering assassinations either, but I kind of need to because I need to get rid of this informant network. I hate this guy. He's so slimy. But God, this is a Game of Thrones and you win or you die. And I need this information. And like, she's flashing all that stuff on her face and with her posture. And like, I just think her performance is so incredible. It's not as loud as the other actors, so you have to watch it. But yes, I would say Olivia Cook moved me as a performer.
She's really good about acting when it's not her lines, which if you guys ever go to like live theater, I always like to look at the background because they're living lives. They're cobblers and they're doing things fully in character. And yeah, Allison, she really does that. And exactly what you're talking about too, her subtext, like you could see her mind, exactly what she's thinking, and then she says it, which is very good acting.
Yeah. So in that sense, we also got to give it up to Matthew Needham, Lara Strong's actor, because he is just playing. He is so good at playing a vile character. Like he is, you can just feel the slime radiating off of him in his scenes.
So I will just say, Tim, that when I met a bunch of the actors at this con in LA. I met Tom the most directly, but they were all there, so I won't say met. I saw them; they were there. Matthew Needham, when he spoke, it was unnerving. Like some of that Laurie's, it's in him. Like he was well cast. Like he's every time, and maybe he was just playing into it or playing it up, but like the guy's unnerving. He's got it. So, in any case, yeah, let's turn this over to the chat, Maynard Plum, and see what they want to pick. There are so many good picks, but yeah, Patty, Millie, or Olivia, those are our picks. Definitely call out who you were moved by. There's no wrong answer here. Ewan is amazing. So Ewan Mitchell, who plays Aemond, in an interview a couple weeks ago, he mentioned that he uses Michael Myers as inspiration, and that's the killer, Michael Myers, not the actor.
Oh yeah,
not like, Austin Powers, Michael Myers. Like, read. So
Michael Myers.
He's trying to bring serial killer vibes to the character. He was talking about the way that he occupies physical space without saying anything. You know, the menacing killer in the room who's like still but waiting to explode. And that is really the vibe with Aemond in a lot of his scenes. Like he's still, but you can tell there's ultra violence waiting to explode inside of that man.
That's very interesting because it makes me think about the dragon changing the nature of the person, because that's not the Aemond who was running away from a pig with wings. So it's like, dang, what happened to that little boy to become the man that takes up space in the room? That's a long journey.
Well, it's like some Columbine energy, right? Like, oh, you picked on me and I've internalized it in a very unhealthy way.
Yeah.
So,
But Vhagar didn't bring that energy to Lena, so I'm saying, so it's like,
No, Lena gentled Vhagar. That's the thing. Lena has
Yeah,
different. Yeah, she has
because
different energy.
Lena was already pretty outgoing, but there is a sense like that. Yeah, that getting a dragon seems to like rejuvenate and revitalize you. We get that very early on. Aenys, the king who followed Aegon the Conqueror, very sickly as a baby, but he gets a jump start when he gets a dragon. Now, eventually, the weight of the world comes crashing down on him with Maegor and the Faith and all that. But it definitely seems like getting a dragon definitely it gives you like a booster energy, and that's definitely what happened to Aemon. He lost the eye, but he gained a dragon. But his self confidence and his self esteem like take like a major boost once he has Vhagar.
Yeah, he had a gaping, yawning chasm that needed to be filled, whereas Lena doesn't really come across that way. So that's a good observation from the chat. And while we're calling out Millie and Olivia, also, yeah, Emily Carey as young Alicent did a really good job. And we saw just a lot of chemistry with Millie, Alcock, and Emily, and then again with Emma and Olivia. There's just a lot of good chemistry with the actors that have to act together. Olivia and Patty, their scenes, like on this when they're going up the stairs, and Viserys is like, Alicent, and Alicent's like, psh, over my dead body, like, damn.
that was crazy.
Yeah. So yeah.
And Alicent has no dragon, and still she had a very drastic change. Little Miss, you ripped a page from a book, and now you out here servicing like the OnlyFans is popping. Like that's a drastic change, Alicent, and you have no dragon to blame it on.
Yeah, no, it's that's the Game of Thrones. If you don't die, you learn how to play, and it makes you harder. It does, and we see that with everybody in different ways. So, with Laurie's, he's like, oh well, I've just, he's done the Sith exercise. He's killed his family to sever his attachments and prove that he has no love or anything inside of him, so he can be free to be a totally amoral power player. It's very Sith-like.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. He'll find what he's looking for.
I just don't understand what's the long-term goal for him? Like,
who are you proving this to? Like, who is the person that's watching you kill your family?
That's the big mystery. Yeah, like he doesn't seem to want to be king.
Mm-hmm.
So what is he after? That's a question in Fire and Blood though too. So I'm curious to see where they take that. Now, at no surprise, Paddy Considine dominated the poll as I expected he would.
Oh, Paddy.
No arguments there. The walk to the throne room, I mean, that's legendary stuff. That is an all-time scene.
Yeah.
Just incredible.
Like him dropping the crown wasn't planned, but it happened, and they're like, no, that's good, roll with it.
Yeah,
that's art right there. Exactly.
In a world of like deadbeat dads and absentee fathers, like here is a dad that gets up from his sickbed to stand up for his daughter. Like I think for me, that's what made it so powerful is just like, I'm not even doing this for me. I'm doing this for Rhaenyra. Like I have to prove to you guys again.
And then when Vaemon says what he says, and he gets up and he's like drawing the knife, like I will.
The dagger was out. The dagger was out, baby. Like he was ready. He's slower. He's slower than Daemon, but Viserys was ready.
But I'm still gonna fight for my girl. But luckily, he had Daemon to do the.
He's gonna have Reynold Westerling hold Vaemon down, and with his shaky hand, he's gonna cut that tongue out himself.
God, it was gonna be like the deer hunt in the woods all over again. Yeah. Hold him steady for me. It's like aim for the heart this time, Your Grace.
As good as that scene was for me, if I look at all of season 1 as a whole, my favorite scene would be it's the younger kids like on Dragonstone or Driftmark. When they're all on Driftmark for Laena's funeral, and that whole scene happens with Alicent cutting Rhaenyra. But if I could do it an extended scene, it would be like Aemon getting off the dragon, punching up those little kids, and then like going into like that scene. I think that'd be my favorite out of all of season 1.
So I actually have set this up so that we could do both a season 2 predictions and a season 1 recap.
Oh, haha,
Depending
never
on the
mind.
time, and we're about an hour in and we're just about done with this. So I think we can go ahead and flip to this and pick our favorites from season 1, which will probably even be easier than what we just did. So yeah,
Yeah.
that the cave scene was really well done. We talked about it a lot after it happened, and so did the internet. And I thought it was very realistic the way that they had the situation escalate. You know, each kid did something to raise it a little more that was understandable, and then retaliation raised it a little more, and soon there's a knife and somebody's getting hurt. And like that's how the shit happens. So like people argued about who was at fault. Everybody was at fault a little bit. And you know, it was just well written. It very believable. To me, that's more important than like, well, who do we blame? Who do we blame it for? Well, no, it's like, is it written in a way that feels realistic as far as the way it falls out? So,
The journey. I said the journey.
yes, yes. So it was great. And then, okay, so I'm sorry, I had a thought to go to next and it flew out of my head. But we still need to do hot takes. So, what's your season 2 hot take? Something controversial or outside of the box. Do you need me to go first? Tim, do you have one?
I
Yeah,
don't
I
have
want to.
one.
Yeah, give me yours so I can get an idea of what you're gunning at.
Okay, so my hot take is that I'm trying to figure out how to word it. The Mysaria, because I'm getting into spoilers. So Mysaria, I'm talking about Team Smallfolk and Mysaria. Okay, so Mysaria is this character who is giving us a window into Flea Bottom and what it's like to be sold, to be a sex worker, to be a poor person with nothing who's trying to climb your way to some sort of safe lifestyle. Like she's talking about safety pretty much all the time. With Damon, she's talking about, I thought you would keep me safe and you didn't. You're acting foolish and entitled, so I can't hitch my wagon to you. And she becomes a powerful person in her own right. And then we see Otto making this deal with her because she controls Aegon. She knows where Aegon is because he hangs out in Flea Bottom, and she figures out that the king is dead and that everyone wants Aegon. And so she takes possession of him and hides him and uses this to get a meeting with Otto. And what does she do in that meeting? She says, you need to shut down some of this horrible shit that's going on in Flea Bottom. So she is
Okay.
advocating almost as if she's the mayor of Flea Bottom, okay? She's advocating for the other small folk. Then what happened? Laurie's, at Alicent's behest, firebombed Mysaria's house. So now Mysaria is not a friend. Well, she's not a friend to either team, but specifically Team Green firebombed her house after promising her, if we're looking at them as a collective, Otto promises and then someone else blows up her house. So that shit is coming back. We've seen riots in the streets in some of the previews. This may have to do with Corlys blockading and food being short. But my hot take is that the Team Smallfolk vengeance is coming, and it's not necessarily nice. Like Team Smallfolk, when we talk about Team Smallfolk, we're not saying the peasants are pure and noble. We're just saying that the rulers are responsible for the well-being of the people. Smallfolk is the duty of the High Lords, okay?
Yes.
Stories about the High Lords. But yes, Mysaria and the Smallfolk are going to have their say in season 2, and it's going to be ugly. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think it's going to cause some. The hot take is just that like it's gonna stir feelings in the fandom when we see Mysaria doing these dark things. She's gonna orchestrate blood and cheese, basically.
Are you saying that your hot take is whatever Mysaria does, she's justified?
No, I'm saying that Team Smallfolk is going to get like a gnarly bandwagon to ride on.
Okay.
Yeah, Team Smallfolk will eat the rich. Yes, there you go. So
Eat the rich.
Yeah.
I mean,
And the whole
here's-
point about the hot take is like you don't have to try to be controversial. It's just what's an
yeah.
opinion that you have that we haven't talked about, just a take that you
Yeah.
have, an angle.
Well, on that note, there is that scene in one of the trailers where it does look like there's going to be some kind of riot in King's Landing, almost reminiscent of when Joffrey instigated the one after he got hit with the cow pie. We don't know what the context is behind it, but we do see someone grabbing onto Alicent, and they look pretty shabby. So who knows? Maybe the Poors might get their hands on the royal family for a moment.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nettles.
For me, I would just say the battle of the Gullet might be Jace's fault.
That's actually not going to come until season 3.
Okay. All right. Then I don't know.
Don't you like hate Alicent and think that she's absolutely horrible?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
You're making this
That's
more
my
complicated
I
than it
can
needs
use
to be.
that. All right, cool. Yeah. Alicent is wrong in everything. Alicent did everything wrong.
Yeah, so I was about to say, I thought this would be low-hanging fruit for you. I guess you were trying to think of something more outside of the box.
Yeah, because I'm trying to
Well,
think
no,
of what
but
is
develop that. So what do you think we're going to see on season 2 from Alicent?
Alicent. I think hopefully taking more of a back seat and letting her children make these decisions, and then I guess her scrambling to fix them. I think that's what we'll see. I think the most we saw from her was in season 1, setting it up. Now it's time for the kids to take control.
So how do you think she's going to handle that this season?
Like I said, like she's just gonna be like a backseat driver, kind of just like, oh, passive. Oh, I can't do anything with my life. Like kind of just being like more like woe is me, and not being like a mover. And I think that will be frustrating for her from being like the king, like basically being Viserys as he was in his sickbed, to having like all the control and power, to now like it's kind of like that moment that Cersei has with Joffrey when she slaps him when she's like, oh crap, I'm not going to be able to do anything. Like I think that's that moment Alicent will have where it's frustrating, I guess, is that feeling.
And so what do you think she's going to do about that? Is she just going to bathe and like stand in front of lakes and stuff, or is she going to do something?
I think the first one.
Okay.
I do. It's either the wine glass, which she's not going to have the wine glass, so she has to bathe. Like that's what she has to do to self-soothe, you know. I think she's just going to sit idly by.
There's that handsome Kingsguard knight standing around who's awful loyal to Alicent. Pretty much would do anything for her. I don't know. Tim, what do you got?
Before I was just thinking, the return of the coal pole. But no, for me, it's Daemon. One of the big gripes when we were doing this last season was I was talking about how they kept seemingly to cutting all Daemon's scenes that make him, they humanize him, like the scenes of them, like him comforting his daughters after Laena's death and all that. And from what we have seen, the little bit of, I haven't seen much in the way of like leaks, but I did see like there's going to be a scene where it looks like a scene of domestic abuse with Daemon and Rhaenyra when we see like Daemon launch that cup across the room. I think someone in that writer's room is going to try their hardest to make us hate Daemon, and it's just going to backfire because we're just going to love him even more. Like, I'm right up there with Gray Area when it comes to, like, as a Daemon fan. Not a Daemon stan, because I totally admit his faults. But it's like, they're going to try and make us hate Daemon, and it's just going to win Daemon even more fans. Because Matt Smith is so damn likable.
So if I could boil that take down, it's more crimes will make Daemon more popular.
It's not going to have the effect you want. It's just going to make us like him even more.
So there you go, Maynard Plum. More crimes will make Daemon more popular. That's a pretty good take. I tweeted the other day. I was just like, yeah, if you like Daemon, you like the violence. It's part of the attraction. Like, don't deny
Yes,
it.
and my response was yes, and
yes, and exactly.
That gif of Daemon be like,
cool. And then I'll fill this in for Maynard Plum. He might be oh, there he is. Who doesn't like
Well,
violence? Well, I mean, the people receiving the violence don't like violence.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be an episode where we're all gonna have to break out our crime hoods again.
oh no. I was looking for that, I couldn't find it.
Oh, you gotta find your
Bulbasaurification.
crime hood.
I'll have to get another one. But Bulbasaurification said, "I support Damon's rights and Damon's wrongs," and I thought that was funny.
That's it. Yeah, Gray is faithful. She's a faithful Damon supporter. She's like, well, yeah, he does horrible things, but does that make him evil? And I was like, kinda.
She called herself biggest Damon fan, and I said, "I believe you have my title." To which she responded, "Well, we can share it." So I love Gray Area.
Well, you got to fight to the death over that thing. Okay, so let's get the poll going, Mr. Plum. If you are there, we will see what the chat thinks about this. Definitely, what are feel free to throw out your takes in the chat. Definitely, the Damon thing is very, yeah. One thing that's interesting is Matt Smith was talking about how Damon's going to be like more losing his way or like kind of lost or something like to that effect. You know, we know at a certain point he kind of does go off and do his own thing a little bit when he's in the field. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how Emma and Matt portray that relationship.
I think what I'd like to know is if it's going to be Harrenhal. Like when we did the Harrenhal stream, and I brought up the movie Poltergeist a lot. I'm wondering if the ghosts of Harrenhal, and plus with having a witchy woman like Alice Rivers, if Damon spending an extended amount of time there is going to start messing with him. Like when you live in a haunted house, it can mess with your mind. That'd be interesting to see.
Maybe.
So I have in the chat a call for more Reyna. So what do we want to see from Reyna? Reyna doesn't. One of the things that's interesting is that the promo poster for Reyna shows her carrying a dragon's egg, and in the books, she does eventually hatch a dragon's egg. So it's confusing as far as like, you know, we've heard these rumors about maybe she's going to be involved with Sheep Stealer, but then you know we know that in the story she is supposed to hatch an egg. So that's why I say the fact that she's got the egg in the poster means I don't think they're completely ditching that storyline. But I'm interested to see what they do with it. And since they've cast a really strong actor to play Jane Arryn in The Vale, I think we're going to get some real scenes with Reyna in The Vale with Jane. They're doing something with that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that a lot. We've got our question in. We've got our poll question up. What do you think about Reyna and the Vale plotline, Tim or Nettles?
Okay, so if it goes the way that I forget who posted Talking Thrones or whoever is the one who made the post that like got everyone up in an antic about this. It says that like Sheep Stealer is supposed to be in the Vale, and that's where she comes across him and starts feeding sheep to him. That does rewrite a lot of stuff, though, because if we go in the book, Sheep Stealer is on Dragonstone with the rest of the wild dragons, and there is a moment with another character who has been cast, and that is Silver Dennis. And if Sheep Stealer is in the Vale, then that means we have to completely rewrite what goes down with Silver Dennis. So I'm holding out hope that it's not going to be Sheep Stealer in the Vale, or that eventually he will go to Dragonstone and that we will get Nettles like we should, the way we're supposed to. I'm holding on to Ryan Condal's ambiguous answer in that interview that this leak is actually just going to be a false leak and that Sheep Stealer will not be in the Vale.
Well, I will just point out as a Sheep Stealer expert, second Sheep Stealer expert, Nettles obviously foremost Sheep Stealer expert. However, Sheep Stealer is said to range around the Narrow Sea,
okay.
Not the Narrow, yeah, the Narrow Sea or the Bay, Blackwater Bay. Thank you, Blackwater Bay, that place. So Sheep Stealer could potentially be sighted, you know, anywhere around there. But And I don't think it takes very long. Like in about an hour, you can get from Dragonstone to King's Landing or Dragonstone to the Vale. It doesn't take that long. A couple hours maybe. So.
I would.
All right, so we like Damon. We like Tim. Your take was the most popular. More Damon crimes equal more popularity, and I think the hot takes will be easier to pull like right after an episode. We're trying to mine for one with stuff we haven't seen yet, but it'll be easy to come up with hot takes after the episode.
But yeah, I voted for yours, Tim. I voted for in this one.
Yeah.
And yet, Rhaena's dragon is interesting. So, Fire and Blood, the narrative ends with the dance, and we don't really hear what becomes of some of the characters who survive the dance, like Alice Rivers. Her story is left hanging. We get some of the very broad strokes of like Rhaena and Baela's life, after, but not much detail. So this whole question of Rhaena's dragon that she hatches, Morning, it is the last named Targaryen dragon. Now, Arlen of Pennytree says that he saw the last Targaryen dragon. It was like a malformed hatchling or something. That's not Morning. So Morning isn't the last dragon, but she's the last named dragon. So probably the second to last one after that little deformed thing. So, and it's a pink dragon. Morning makes you think of dawn and spring and the long night cycles and all that stuff. So, dream of spring. I'm not sure what George is doing with that symbolism there, but I think when we get Blood and Fire, the sequel, we might get more on that. Maybe he'll flesh that out. So,
I guess probably third to last because there's also that one that's like maggot white blind wyvern thing. I don't know if we're even counting that.
That is born to Baela's daughter.
Yeah,
Lena.
That's
Baela's daughter, Lena, who she names after her mother. Yeah.
Stance. Yeah.
Hard to say. Cool. So, and then who's winning the war? I guess this is a question. So we're just about to start the war. So the question is, who do you think is in the stronger position where we left off? Nettles, go ahead.
I would have to say Team Black would be winning the war up until. Yeah, I would say Team Black would just be winning.
And what's your basis for that?
Just with Blood and Cheese.
Where we stopped with the end of last season.
Oh, the end of last season?
Because that's where we are. Like, as of right now, who's in the stronger position, chessboard-wise?
I hate to say it would have to. It'd be the Greens then.
It is the Greens, yeah.
Yeah.
I think. But you can argue this on different bases. Like, the Greens, you'd argue the Greens because they are holding the throne. They're in King's Landing. That gives them a stronger position. They've also made the first kill. They've taken Luke and his dragon off the board. However, you could argue the Black is in a stronger position because they have the moral high ground, being that Rhaenyra is the named heir of Viserys. So you could claim that. The Greens, they seized the throne in kind of an ugly fashion. So, but what do you think, Tim? Who would you say is in the stronger position?
Yeah, I'll go with Team Black, and that is because they have more dragons. They're on Dragonstone with the wild dragons. They're already hatching the scheme for the dragon seeds. And also, while Aegon has the throne, his coronation did not go well.
True.
Rhaenys pops up out of the ground. So you got to remember, in a time like this, with a population as very superstitious as the people of King's Landing, if the very first thing that happens after Aegon is crowned is not the book thing we got of him victoriously riding around on Sunfire, but instead is this instance where dozens, if not hundreds of people were just killed at your coronation and you could do nothing to stop it, that's a bad omen.
I agree. There's no question it's a bad omen. Like, it's a dragon king in the dragon pit, and a dragon erupts out of the floor and ruins the party. So that's not good symbolism. And your very good point, Tim. They're sitting on Dragonstone where all the extra dragons are. So even though the greens are occupying the actual seat of power, and they have Blackfire and the knife and stuff, Dragonstone has a bunch of dragons. That's true. So that's a very good argument. I'm going to still say green. Do you want to change your argument, Nettles, or you still say green?
No, I'm not changing my argument. I said what I said.
So let's see. It's very close on the poll. 52 to 48, Team Black with 94 votes in. So we'll let that run a little longer. But as you can see, it's pretty close. It's pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, green has Vagar, obviously. That's an advantage. But, Melees and Caraxes are nothing to F with. And poor Cyrax just can't grow any bigger, stuck at the same size for 20 years. But still a dragon.
Yeah. But you guys are talking about dragon power and war logistics. Rhaenyra is a woman, so that's just the biggest negative to her campaign, because it's not just about Dragonfire, it's about who are the people who are going to be behind him. They're going to be behind the man with the member. But April May just said, here's the Trixie though. Dragonstone cannot be taken by greens, while King's Landing can be taken by the blacks. Do you guys agree?
No. I think Dragonstone is harder to take. It's a fortress, but the Red Keep is effectively a fortress too. I think it's really a matter of using the dragon. Both sides talk about doing it, and they hold off because neither one wants to just throw all their dragons at the other dragons, because who knows how that's going to turn out. And so what we end up seeing is both sides looking for ways to pick off a dragon here or there, or to like isolate somebody and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd say it's difficult for either side to just take the other capital because of that. Because of the fact that dragon fights are insane. They fight to the death. It's usually mutually assured destruction. They don't disengage. So unless you have a clear advantage, probably everyone's getting messed up, So, yeah.
And when it comes to like the logistics of war, as Nettle said, like it's not. We get this with Tywin too. It's like it's not always decided on the battlefield. Wars are won just as much with letters and coin. It's why the Iron Bank can make or break kings in our current story. So there's a lot to go into it that goes beyond just who has more dragons and who has more allies.
Well, this is interesting. We've got a 50-50 poll here. It is sitting
Wow.
right on the knife edge. It just went to Team Green 51. It was Team Black 51 a minute ago.
Oh, Krypton's went. The Greens have no fleet. So yeah, Dragonstone has a fortress on an island, and Corlys controlling the fleet. Yeah, that does make Dragonstone
their fleet would come from the Lannisters, correct? Doesn't Tywin Lannister have a control of some amount of fleet?
Possibly, or maybe the Arbor, the Red Wine fleet.
Yeah, that's usually where it does come from. But we do see the Iron Islands are going to come into this, and the Greens are trying to both sides are trying to recruit them.
Both
because
sides will try and court the Iron Islands for naval power.
Yeah, so we are going to see just that dynamic, Corlys's fleet versus what can the Greens come up with to deal with that. Because Corlys, the move is to blockade. He, from Driftmark and Dragonstone, is in a perfect position to cut off any trade into King's Landing. And so all the food's then going to have to come overland from the Reach and other places, and some of those houses aren't sworn to the Greens. So this is one of the first thing that happens is Corlys enforcing this blockade. You can see that in the preview. There's 2 Velaryon ships and some blank ship in the middle, and the Velaryon ships are boarding the other ship. Like, no, you're not bringing anything to King's Landing. So,
well, another thing to note, like, and this goes back to something we talk about how all politics are local. The Reach is actually when we actually look at who's declaring for who, the Reach is actually kind of split. Like Otto and the Hightowers kind of naturally assumed that all of the Reach would declare for their side, but when we look at the actual who's declaring for who, the Reach is actually pretty split, and especially with the Tyrells trying to stay neutral. Same thing with the Riverlands, because whoever the Blackwoods declare for, the Brackens are going to go with the opposite. That's just always a thing.
So this poll it's moved to 52 Team Black with 226 votes, 53. So it looks like Team Black is the narrow winner, but more than anything, we can see that it is pretty close. George has designed a good Civil War. Both teams have their strengths and advantages and weaknesses. And 54. We better end this before it runs away too far. Cool. Well, thanks. We really do appreciate you guys. Now give it to Team Black. Give it to Team Black. 54. That's a sizable win. 53 to 56 or to 46. But it's close.
But I will say, if Team Black was in the stronger position, we would have no season 2 or the rest of the series. It'd be like, and Rhaenyra got her throne. The end.
Yeah. It wouldn't be as
well, just because you have an advantage doesn't mean you're going to win.
Yeah, because would not be as interesting a story if one side could just steamroll the other. That's why there's a constant back and forth of, well, we have this, well, we have this, well, we have this, well, we have this. Like, there's always the, how can we one up them? It's like, yeah, you got this, but we got the money, but we got, I don't know, I can't give too specifics, but there's always going to be one hand is always going to be empty while the other hand is full. That's why it's constantly back and forth, this 2-year war.
So Gail Cruz says, will Vermithor do something important this season? I would guess so. They've been setting it up. They gave us some Vermithor last year. We've seen Vermithor in the previews. So, yeah, I think we're going to get some Vermithor. And it is 420, so praise Garth.
Hey.
All right, cool.
Everyone
So let's whip. We've already talked about season 1 a little bit, but let's go ahead and whip through some of this because I think this will be a good way to shift the conversation as far as where season 1 has left us going into season 2. So what was your favorite scene? Favorite or just a great scene that you would like to nominate from season 1? Who'd like to go first? Nettles would like to go first.
I was just going to say, I already said the cave into the Driftmark ballroom dance. That was really like a dance. When you think about Dance of the Dragons being a metaphor for a fight, like dance being for a fight, how the cameras moved around them, even the kids' fight choreography, it was a dance. So I like that.
It was, a lot of people have said that season, is that episode 7 or 8? That was 7. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Driftmark was 7, the funeral. Right?
Okay.
Well, whichever one it was, the one where they had Lena's funeral, and yeah, Aemon got wounded, and then they had it out in the Driftmark throne room with the accusation and Viserys saying he'll cut out anyone's tongue if they say that they're bastards, and yeah, that was a 1-2. That was an incredible 1-2 from the cave scene to the adults hashing it out, and it felt so just familiar, like a family gathering where the cousins have all fought and now the adults have to talk about it. Like, we've all been in some version of that. Like, oh God, we've done something serious. Now the adults want to talk. Oh man, I'm in trouble. My cousin's going to get punished. Like,
It's the King's Road scene from Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Arya, Joffrey, Sansa.
Yeah. So Tim, what do you got?
I'm going with a more subtle scene, and I think it's just because it's such a great example of acting without saying words. It's the scene where it's in the episode for Laenor and Rhaenyra's wedding, and it's when Daemon shows up on the dais, and he doesn't say anything, but he just looks up with puppy dog eyes and this like shit-eating grin, and Viserys just like, fine, get him a chair. Like that scene, it just perfectly summed up Daemon in absolutely no words, in the way that Matt Smith rolled with it. Just it put such a smile on my face because I'm like, yep, that's him. That's my man right there. That is everything. The puppy dog eyes, but plus the wicked grin, all in that moment of, yeah, I'm here. What's gonna happen? We gonna make a scene, or are you gonna give me a plate?
Give me a plate.
So I will go with another scene that reminds you of something from your childhood, at least at first. So when Rhaenyra comes back, young Rhaenyra comes back to her room, and she finds a little package, and it's a little outfit and a secret note, and then there's a trap door, and where are we going? Like, that was so unexpected, and immediately pulled me into the scene in a way that was more visceral than all this other medieval stuff that I can't quite relate to. It's like, oh, a secret door and a note. Oh gosh, this is fun. We're doing Spy Kids stuff. But then, of course, it transitioned into this very adult scene. So we get Rhaenyra and Daemon going through Flea Bottom, where we see the play. The play was incredible. Rhaenyra's commentary, like, oh, well, I don't care if they don't like me. And David's like, oh, no, you have to care what the small folk think. So we got the Team Small Folk message. Then it goes to the brothel scene, which is incredibly intense. We get that uncomfortable Targaryen hot sex. It's problematic and it's inappropriate, but it's clearly visceral. The actors ate it up. Like, the music was on point. It was very tense and gripping. And then, of course, Rhaenyra gets left, and we see Daemon leaving. And juxtaposed with all that is Alicent disassociating in bed under Viserys' crusty shoulder, okay, staring off into nowhere. And you see the two very different romantic relationships that are going on with young Rhaenyra and young Alicent, how they've fallen into these two different situations and the contrast there. And it's like, it ends with Kristen and Rhaenyra, but like that whole journey and the way that they were juxtaposed is pretty moving to me. That was incredible.
Yeah.
Nettles, you want to comment?
Wow.
Maynard, if you need something to put there, so for me, you can just put it like Daemon wedding crashing. That's how I would sum up that scene.
Wedding crashing. No, that was such a great. Sorry, David, what you were saying, I was like captured because none of that occurred to me. Just like how you wove the story of just like the childhood of her, like of it becoming something innocent childhood adventure into like a seedy romance book. So I'm just saying thank you for taking us on that journey. But it also made me think of how clean the streets were and how safe it was because of Daemon and the gold cloaks. Like, I'm thinking of, remember when Sansa was in Flea Bottom? What? And she was almost, what happened to her? So the fact that Rhaenyra could be out in the streets, disrobing, not in the streets, but, in disrobing, and you felt safe. You felt
she
like
ran off, remember? She ran off in a hurry after stealing from the vendor. And who does she run into? Harwin Strong. And he's just like, princess. And Daemon walks by and he's like, Harwin's like, it's like, so.
No, those are some safe streets, thanks to Daemon.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are very safe, very clean. It's a couple of mutilated people hobbling around in the shadows, but whatever. So.
Yeah, but that scene also did change the game. It also kind of, people like to think about when was this, season 1 cut in half, because there's a tonal shift, right? Like the, episode 1, 2, 3, but this kind of, it makes us grow up, I guess.
And it led to another incredible scene, which was Daemon and Viserys in the throne room. Daemon on the floor, drunk, and Viserys is kicking him, be like, what the?
Yeah.
And still then Daemon rolls over and he's like, why don't you let me marry your daughter so I can restore glory to our house? And he's just like, you are a plague on our house. Like,
yeah,
that was an incredible scene too. So that whole,
it also led to that whole
episode 4. I think I would say that was the best episode. That was just white hot fire.
I was going to say also it led to Kristen Cole's decision, which changes the dynamic of everything. Because imagine if Kristen Cole's just stayed on Rhaenyra's side. There is no dance. Alicent can't do anything without the Kingmaker.
That's the powerful thing about the story, is creating these little moments when you're like, oh, if this had gone different, none of this might have happened. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of those moments. So, yeah, it's good writing. So let's run the poll and see what the chat thinks about our scenes. And you guys can start thinking about what surprised us from the first season.
Okay.
We're asking a lot of Maynard. He's chained to the computer over there. He's doing a pretty good job, that Maynard Plum. He's a family man. He's got a lot going on. But, yeah, so I do need to go get Cleo. She is complaining. And I will also take this moment to remind everyone to like the stream. If you're having fun, click thumbs up. Subscribe to Greyways Tim and Girl Nettles' channel. And mine if you're not. And I will have a new song tomorrow. I almost had it done today, but I didn't want to rush it. But yes, I will have a... So last time I did a funky version of the Game of Thrones theme. This time I have a funky version of the Dracarys theme. Da-dun, da-dun, da-dun. When Dany's burning the slavers and shit. Yeah, we
That's
made
a good
funky.
song.
So that's coming tomorrow. We got the poll up. And yeah, I'm going to go get Cleo. Can y'all grab a question from the chat or something? And I'll be right back.
Sure. Well, from what I'm seeing in chat is a lot of people, I don't know sir, if this is the poll result, but a lot of people were saying that Daemon helping Viserys to the throne was like the seed. I just see it repeated a lot, but can't call it a winner yet until we have our official poll.
This boss person says, question, what do y'all make of the dragon seen by Summer in the books, the serpent in the sky? Do you have any thoughts on that, Tim?
Oh yeah, like whether or not there's actually a dragon in Winterfell. Yeah, that's one of those like really those mysterious ones to me, because I know, because it is Bran looking at it, but it's Bran seeing things through the eyes of a wolf. So it's very much like just a wolf trying to describe things in terms that a wolf would understand. Like if it could talk, it's not going to know specifics. So it's just like, oh, that looks like a giant snake. And as to whether or not that's actually a dragon rising up, or just the way that a wolf would describe like a pillar of smoke or a building collapsing or something like that. Yeah. It's because Bran is in Summer that leaves it so ambiguous, because it's like, if your dog could talk, what would it say? Like what kind of vocabulary is it going to use? It's going to speak in very simple words.
Yeah. I mean, I've subscribed to, and I've heard so many theories out about what it could be, or whose dragon, John's dragon, Leaf's dragon as Nettles. But the thing that stops me from thinking that it's a true dragon is the fact that Bran doesn't remember it when he wakes up. Like, wouldn't you wake up and be like, I just saw a dragon, Mira, Jojen,
Yeah.
like he would like he would have had
Yeah.
a reaction. So that kind of makes me think that it might be leading us to nowhere.
Well, that's also like when Bran supposedly sees into the heart of winter and starts screaming, and it's like, what did you see? I need to know. Like I've always been on the idea that Bran's going to like tap it. That okay, so George has said that when we get winter, and I'm holding out a lot of hope for that because of Worldcon in August, the week after the season ends, and he said that we're going to go further north than we've ever been before. And I'm like, okay, how are we going to do that? Is it going to be someone physically going there, or is it going to be Bran seeing something? Because something I can see is like maybe Bran is going to like tap into an old frozen weirwood in the far north, like reboot that server. You know, it'll be like busting out the old NES console from your attic. It hasn't been turned on in years, but it still works. Yeah, I can see Bran like, yeah, just going into some forgotten server.
Winds of Winter. Take it out and blow on it. That's it.
Yeah, that's how I imagine us seeing in the far, far north is Bran seeing it through like some old frozen weirwood.
So I wonder, was the chat trying to ask, like, could this be, is like one of the dragons from the dance still around? Is that the context, or was it just a random Winterfell dragon question?
They were asking our opinion of Summers seeing a dragon in that Bran chapter.
It seems like if there, like, probably not, but if there was a dragon that, so there's a symbolic language that describes something hatching out of the first keep. Like the first keep is cracked open. It's like a broken shell, it's described as. And then they talk about enough noise to wake a dragon. They see a dragon. I think this is all talking about Jon Snow's symbolism and his dragon identity, yada, yada, yada. But potentially, yeah, there's a dragon, that hatched down in the crypts, and it's under the first keep, and somehow no one ever saw it. And then when Ramsay burned Winterfell, it got all excited, and I don't think so. It's just really hard. Now, but could one of the dance dragons have survived. Cannibal or sheep stealer, I think, are the two that like could be out there. But
I mean, we've already said that cannibal seems older. The oldest dragon that we know of was Balerion, who lived to be about 300. And the dragon, if we're believe what we're told, he was already very old when the dance happened. So for him to still be around would mean that he would have had to have outlived Balerion. He would have to be more than 300 years old at this point.
he'd be like the dragon equivalent of Bloodraven, just this crusty old dragon. Like, how's it even alive? Like that picture of Balerion in the dragon pit that we saw last week, just like super old. But yeah, probably not. Probably not. I don't think so. I think we have Dany's dragons, and if there's any other dragons, it would be like an ice dragon from the Heart of Winter. Other than that, I think those are the dragons that we got.
I mean,
but
Sheep Stealer, depending on how young Sheep Stealer was, he could potentially still be alive.
Sheep Stealer's about almost 100 at the time of the dance.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Then he'd be at the age where Balerion was nearing the end of his life if he was still alive.
But what if these dragons could magically hibernate? Like if they are sleeping, if they could nest underground in something like a tomb and they could hibernate for 100 years because the magic is low, something like that.
I just think we probably, that's a cool idea. We probably would have heard about it, you know, if that was the thing, but you never know.
That's the only way I see it working, because what would they eat? The dragons eat a lot. You can't hide them in Winterfell.
So the winner on this poll is other. That's the Viserys. People are voting for Viserys' throne room scene, are they not?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
I kind
we'll
of
call
figured
that.
that would win. But
And I think we didn't nominate that simply because we talked about it already. But obviously, yeah, that's for some reason I can't finish the poll. Why can't I close the poll? There we go. End poll. Boop. Thank you, voters. All right, so the small folk voted for Viserys' throne room, Maynard Plum. So what surprised us from the show in the first season, and we can go all the way back to like our expectations going in. What was the most surprising thing about the show?
I don't want to do one. Can I just do three? Okay,
Sure.
Really quick. Prattle them off. Aima's death scene, like just the fact that her childbirth, it wasn't like, oh, it's an accident. It was like kind of like a decision that was made, and how they made us fall in love with Aima. And then Laenor's death being subverted, and then Laena also choosing to kill herself with Dragonflame.
And so out of those three, probably the first one was the most surprising, yeah?
Mhm.
Shocking.
No, all of them shocked me equally. That's why I said I can't pick one.
Okay,
It's
well,
those three
you're
that
making
I-
Maynard's job hard.
Oh, Maynard. Fine, I'll say fine. Subverting Laenor's death.
Okay.
That surprised me the most because I was like, "What the?"
Actually, that was completely surprising. Yeah, did not see that coming. I thought it was a cool idea because to me, it's realistic that some of these people would just be like, haven't I done enough? I don't really want to do this. I just want to do like a normal thing. That's how I would be doing. I would be taking the Laenor option. So I'm glad somebody did that.
Yeah, I would have no shame about it. I'd be like, "Nope."
Cheryl Baxter nominates the dragon goo, the goo that the eggs are born into. That's actually a good pick. I was, yeah.
Yeah, that
I
they're
would
like
probably
in
do that.
some kind of bar. I mean, that does make sense for heating them.
Oh, it makes
They're in
perfect
some kind
sense.
of-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
kind of-
Tim, what surprised you the most?
It was also subverting Laenor's death, but I used that as an answer for a different one. So I guess I'll go with Daemon's divorce rock, that they actually went there and did not make it ambiguous what happened to his first wife. He totally caved her head in with a rock.
But it was an accident. It was her horse that really killed her.
Yeah,
So-
I guess in some ways, do we look at Daemon giving her a mercy kill, or had that not happened, would he still have gone through with it, or did her getting thrown from her horse just give him like, well, this is a good enough excuse as any?
Innocent until proven guilty. You have no proof that he was going to do anything to that woman.
No, he showed up like, wow, that horse made my job a whole lot easier.
So I would say this has surprised us. This is not like the most shocking thing, but it's the thing that I was filled with the most like, oh, they're doing this kind of feeling,
Yeah.
which is essentially the dragon lore hewing close to the books. So right from the beginning, the show felt like Westeros, but just Game of Thrones had a 10-foot pole out for the magic. They're like, oh, let's do as little of this as possible. It's kind of confusing. Whereas House of the Dragon is like, and they had incubators. And the eggs were in the goo. And then they used incubators. And the dragon keepers speak High Valyrian. And they have poles. And the dragons have commands. And the kids come and learn how to feed the dragon together in school. Like, all of it makes sense. And the way that it's developed, like Caraxes' noodly body, he has a whistle. He's extra. He always whistles to the ladies because he's a ladies' man. Like the Daemon raises his arm and Caraxes moves his wing. All of that subtle dragon lore that went into season 1 was just the show. I mean, it's just so much more fun of a show. It's ice and fire because of that. You know, it could have just turned into a pseudo medieval period story that's vaguely reminiscent of Westeros. But now it's like, yeah, the prophecy of ice and fire, just all of the lore being developed with Ryan and George together, and George using the show as a vehicle to develop the lore. Like, that is the thing that was the most pleasant surprise to me.
Nice. Someone said the death of House Strong.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So someone in the chat was saying that what surprised them was the death of House Strong.
Oh, Lionel and Harwin being, yeah, that was shocking. That was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, there's still at least one Strong running around. We just don't really like him.
Cool. So, yeah, there you go.
Did we want to get super chats? That may have.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Tim. Absolutely.
There was one I saw that I did want to give an answer to.
Well, we've got this really nice feature now. We can just review all the super chats at once. So this is a lot easier for me to catch them. Give me your pitch. Why watch your post-episode chat and not someone else's? Oh, well.
Okay, now, that was the one. Okay, well, if you weren't here for the Pirates of Penzance moment, there is a high probability of musical theater when you watch us. With me and with Girl Nettles' amazing acting. If you did not see her portrayal of Liza Aaron when we did that chapter read, go check that out.
But I'm mostly here for the musical theater, Tim. I just want to make that known.
I will also say Girl Nettles is the reason to come. No. I was listening to Safety Dance Men at Work, and it occurred to me that these lyrics are primed for a House of the Dragon. You know, we can dance, everything's out of control. Like, that's pretty much, yeah.
That's true.
We can king if we want to. We can leave Viserys' will behind. Yeah. Anyways.
Music, voices, we throw it all in there.
Yeah, it's because we're going to have these organized sections because we got the cool frame with the arcane high tower symbols. And and because we're unspoiled and we'll be coming into these shows just like you, excited about what we just saw. So that's but hey, you know, check out other people's shows, see what you like. It's free world. That's cool. I don't ever look at this thing as a competitive thing. If other people's Ice and Fire channels are doing well, then that means people are interested in Ice and Fire, and that's probably good for me. So I'll just be mad if they took my idea and made a better thumbnail. That's when I get jealous. Like, damn, it's a good thumbnail. Anyway, live action Aemond is the closest we'll get to live action Darkstar as far as being a medieval anime character. That's a great call, Bane's Basement.
Like someone else said, the fact that while you were off partying, I studied the blade. I can be your angle or your devil. Like, the fact that it holds up to Aemon, and it's not totally a joke, but still 100% true.
So thanks, Ionic Calamity, Christopher Witchman, Cregan Stark, Raven in the Writing Desk is looking forward to Cregan Stark. And then we are caught up. Cool. Those thanks, guys. So yeah, what surprised us? It's the chat summary. Viewers are discussing House of the Dragon, including the recent episode, the creators, and their thoughts on the show. They also talk about... No, we missed it. Oh, well. Got to get that AI summary in there since they're forcing it on us. Okay, so let's pull this one, Maynard Plum. What was the chat most surprised by? One of our picks or something else? And chat, it's pronounced Wickman. Sorry, Christopher. I should have figured that out. But yes, that makes more sense. What were you guys surprised about in the chat? The dagger. Yeah. Surprised I didn't get invited to the premiere. Yeah, me too. Me too. No respect, I tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, in the video for Safety Dance, there is a midget jester, or a little person. Jester, midget's not the right word. There is a little person wearing a jester hat. And it's like, we can dance if you want to. I was like, this is already House of the Dragon. You don't need to change the lyrics or anything. Go look up the video. And sorry for saying the word midget, but yeah, sorry.
The reason they left Mushroom out is because Mushroom tells no lies. The whole show would be Mushroom's version.
Too much truth. Well, there was in the wedding scene, the hand drummer was a little person. And so Condell has said, that Mushroom's in the background if you look. So we assume that's him. Perhaps he'll have a role.
Yeah, we're going to have to scope him out.
Not good enough. We want more. It should be like Office style with Mushroom turning to the camera and being like, that is not what Rhaenyra said. Like,
womp, womp, womp.
So here we go. We got the chat. Divorce Rock. Laenor didn't die. Dragon lore was book accurate. What were you the most surprised by? Or something else? Someone's surprised I didn't cut Nettles, Mr. Lightbringer. No, look. I can handle somebody disagreeing with me sometimes. We want that. That's part of what we want here. Mix it up. Different opinions. I'm only a man with ADHD.
Yeah.
Divorce
I can't
Rock.
ever get mad talking about this stuff because my love for Song of Ice and Fire is like just so great. Like, it's all good times. All good times.
Yeah, and in all seriousness, like Nettle, if you go over to Nettles' channels, she does debates. That's what she does. Like I went on there and we debated Rhaegar and Daemon. We went through all their different personality. Tim was there too. We mixed it up. It was a great time. And so, like, there are different ways to cover the show. I have ADHD. I can be sensitive. I find that when I get in debate situations, it is easy for me to cross the line from entertaining into like, this guy seems tense. So I do admire your ability to handle that sort of environment with skill. And I did have a really good time on your channel. But part of the reason you're here is to bring some of that energy. Like, we want to mix it up. People have a lot of different opinions about this show. And I'm not trying to monopolize YouTube with my take on it. Like, so Tim has different takes than me too also sometimes.
And I look at hey, Fire and Blood was written, at least the dance part was written from 3 different POVs. So you got 3 different perspectives. Who's right? Which one's the right?
Okay, well, so there's the Maester and the Septon and Mushroom. So who's who?
Nettles, your Mushroom.
Nettles, your Mushroom. I think I'm the Septon and Tim's the Maester.
Dang, Tim.
You're the most colorful, Nettles. You're the most, like, you got the most humor, you got the bawdiest humor, like.
Yeah. I'm really short. I'm 5 foot exactly.
Oh, yeah, you're short, too. That's it, yeah. I don't know. We're all Mushroom.
We're all Mushroom.
Yeah, everyone is Mushroom.
Someone says, David's reading Rhaegar. Let's not play. Well, yeah, sometimes. It's only one part of my personality. There's also Nimble Dick and Old Nan. Those are all parts of me, so.
We will not be boxed in.
So Laenor didn't die is actually killing this. Look at that, 50%. That was probably the biggest change, so.
Yeah.
With 152 votes, that's a clear victory. I'll go ahead and call that. So Tim had that was Nettles, once again with her finger on the pulse of the fandom.
Well, to be fair, I used it as an answer for another question.
Don't try to sneak my point. No.
No, to be fair.
So I will mention that we have hot takes. I will leave it. We will do the other ones first so you guys can begin thinking of them, since that took a little more thought last time. But who we already talked about the acting. We already did this for season 1. So who's winning the war? We did that too. No, we are hot takes. That's what we got. Okay, so hot takes about season 1. We kind of already did this, I guess, didn't we? Did we do? We didn't really specify whether they were season 1 or season 2.
Yeah.
More hot takes.
More hot takes. That's what I'm thinking. I'm just thinking of more hot takes.
That's what people want. Twitter's full of them. My hot take is that Twitter's full of nonsense. That's a cold take. Let's see here. Oh, neckline. I thought you literally have a gold neckline.
Oh yeah.
That is pretty cool.
Chains.
Nettles always coming with the creative.
Gotta be different, you know.
Well, let me while I'll trying to think of some more hot takes, but chat, let me give you the opportunity. What questions do we have for season 2 or for the panel here about season 2?
But I will say, since last time when we did the Who Won the episode, we talked about season 1. For season 2, season 2, I think for me it'll be Helena. Like, that's who I think will be like the new Viserys standout actor. That's just like snuck it, dark horse that snuck in and made everyone pay attention.
Yeah, because they really are making her a breakout character by making her a dragon dreamer. Because as like David said at the beginning, in the book, she's just kind of more of a side character. She's just there. Occasionally she pops in. She's not really doing anything. But yeah, to have the dragon dreams, to do this whole like the beast beneath the boards, and also like people just seem to like her whole bug catcher motif that she has going about her. It does make her a more interesting character, and especially because after the blood and cheese thing, Helena's pretty much kind of done in the book, but in the show, they might have her like. Is she going to be like this mad woman just like sitting in the corner muttering things that everyone's going to be like, she's crazy, but we as the watcher could be like, no, turn closed captioning on. What did she say? Because whatever she said is going to be important.
This was occurring to me all season 1 that like, we talked about this with Allison too. Like, so for some of the female characters that aren't in the war and they're not, what are they doing? And some of them also then begin to have to deal with incredible grief as people die, as their family members die. We saw Luke die. Rhaenyra is dealing with that. Stuff like that will happen for Team Green. So yeah, Helena being a dragon dreamer makes her interesting in that, like, she's not just sitting around. She's in a scene. She could say something, and sooner or later, I think people will start to listen to her more than they do now. Whether that's Aemond or Aegon. I think one of those two are going to start paying more attention to her prophecies.
But
so I think that's a good call.
We viewers definitely hang on everything.
She's also sitting in this family with a dragon and not using it. Think about your family. We're at war, and you're not using a dragon. Like, we're gonna have some tensions. We're gonna be like, get off your butt, do something. Like, I'm curious to see how all that plays in. Just even the mundane, real life.
Oh, get in the robot, Shinji. Get on the dragon, Helena. Yeah, it's like get that moment.
So, Grey Waste Tim, who do you think, acting wise, is going to steal the show this year?
I think it's actually going to be Aemond. As much as I love Daemon, I think Aemond. Now that the Luke thing is said and done. The way he handles it and the way he's going to portray himself out in public and the Aemond in private. I think the actor, I'm so bad with actors' names, but that actor, I see him essentially playing two different characters this season, depending on whether he's in public or private, in the way that he deals with all of this stuff.
A lot of Clockwork Orange, Minty. That is exactly what I was getting at earlier when I said you could tell the ultra violence is lurking inside the man. There's a lot of Clockwork Orange energy with Aemond, and I agree. I think the most obvious answers here are Aegon and Aemond. Like
Ewan Mitchell, that's his name.
Yeah, Ewan and Tom. Like
Yeah.
we've seen the potential, and the material that they're getting this year is going to be incredible. Also, a lot of people in the chat mentioning Emma. Emma's going to have some great material this season, and Emma is an incredible actor, so that's also a great pick too. But yeah, I would say Tom as Aegon would be my pick, and Tim is nominating Ewan as Aemond.
Yeah.
And I will take Tom. I'm torn. It's hard to not. Emma's right there too. I mean, again, there's no wrong answer. So the chat you're getting lots of names here, and I mentioned, look, Jason, Bela. I'm really excited about them. I don't know that they will steal the show.
Yeah.
They're just probably not going to have enough to do that, to compete with the other names that we're mentioning. I do think that they will be awesome. And there will be moments where it's like, Bela, and Jason stuff. So I'm excited about it. Go ahead, Tim.
Jace's hair is going to be what steals
Jace's hair.
Now that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's good, guys. You guys are saying like Corley's, like everyone's good, but we're talking about if you could only pick one,
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough to pick one, but we've got some good picks here. So, yeah. So, yeah, Maynard, whenever you get to that, throw that one to the chat. So, more hot takes. Look, I will just say this. I have a draft of an essay that I have written 3 times, and I have never put it out. And the essay is basically, look, guys, we like Rhaenyra, but let's get it straight. She's committing treason, okay? We may not like it, but it's a fact. Because early on in this process, we had a lot of Rhaenyra supporters trying to deny that she's doing anything wrong. And it's like, no, morally, we don't cast judgment because all the adults are consenting and the kids have parents. So that's fine. We don't care about that. But legally, it is treason. And so if you're committing legal treason, then that introduces the strategic question. We can question her judgment for leaving this opening for Team Green to usurp her. The thing is, I'm so tired of talking about it. Like, I just couldn't bring myself to record the video and put it out. It's like, you either get it or you don't. And so what I was surprised by is that it also became irrelevant because the show character thinks about this stuff. She doesn't just act entitled and my throne was usurped. She thinks she has this moment where she's like, oh, well, just because there's a throne and it's my right to claim it doesn't mean I should plunge the realm into war. Like, we should think about this. And that's why she's hesitating when Daemon's like, let's do this. So I was pleasantly surprised by the way that they filled in the character. And we should assume that the Maesters aren't capturing everything that Rhaenyra and Alicent and everyone else is thinking and doing. We don't get a lot of dialogue. We don't get their POV. We don't know how much they hesitated before they did something. We only know that they did something, right?
Okay.
So I was pleasantly surprised that that take became more obsolete and I didn't have to talk about it. And that, like, Rhaenyra is a pretty responsible character. Like, I didn't really feel the need to just sort of pound that. And it's like, yeah, she did, and that is a thing, but it's not really the biggest factor. So I don't know. My hot take is that I actually like what they did with Rhaenyra a lot.
I was going to say you should still save that manuscript you're working on and revisit it at the end of the series, because you might have to pull that out again, even if it's just a jumping off point for something else that happens. I think it'll still be good. It might just be too early for that thought bubble.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, like, without knowing what happens and what they're going to do, we're all treading into unknown waters here. All we can do is wait and see week by week. What do they do with this event? What do they do with this event? Because they do have a daunting task. Like you said, Fire and Blood's a great book, but it's a history book, so it's very bare bones when it comes to dialogue and characterization. The showrunners are literally having to put flesh and meat on these bare bones to give us this story.
Yeah, I think they're doing a great job, honestly. Like I think about this as a lot of people do from a writer's point of view, and I think they're doing a fantastic job. Doesn't mean I agree with every single thing, but overall, we're getting these characters fleshed out in very interesting ways. They all have individual personalities. And I think that's a very general thing to say. We're like, they have personalities that you can really crawl into, and we can do all this psychoanalysis. They give us these little moments that imply a lot of stuff, but then they're consistent with that. As far as like the characterization of these different characters, it's much more consistent than Game of Thrones, especially latter seasons where you're like, who is Jaime? What is his motivation even? Or Tyrion, you know? I feel like the characters are very consistent. And so every little thing they give us about the characters' personalities, we can treat it as solid and start to build a picture of these characters. So, like, for example, with Jace and Bela, I did the thought experiment. I was like, oh, they're both dealing with tragedy. You know, Jace just lost his brother, and Bela lost her mom when she was like 9 or 10 or 11 or something like that. And then we see the actors talking about their characters in the interview, and they mentioned that exact thing. And I was like, oh, okay, this is consistent. Like, they've really thought about these characters, and they've allowed the actors to really live in the characters and embody them and participate in the fleshing out, which makes the performance stronger. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, because with Fire and Blood, again, since we're getting it from the POVs of these historians who are writing after the fact, all we're getting is these public perceptions, things that had witnesses so that they can at least try and verify this. But what we're not getting is, what are people like behind closed doors? What are people like when they don't think that anyone is watching? That's why I said with Aemon as an example, him being possibly having to be portrayed as two different people, because there's going to be the Aemon that we saw in the book, which was the perception of him from the witnesses that were there. But then there's going to be, what is Aemon when he's all by himself? How is he really dealing with all of this? And the same could be applied to every other character.
Yeah, with Aemon in particular, we've talked about, will he confess that he lost control of his dragon to anyone? Like his brother, maybe. And sorry, this frame got off, and I'm trying to get it back. There it is. Okay, sorry, guys. Sorry. I was trying to move one thing, and another thing moved. Yeah, the personal private thing is interesting. And I think we can safely say that Aemon is going to claim to have, you know, killed Luke, that bastard, or whatever, as opposed to admitting that he lost control. But I have to think he's going to admit it to somebody.
That's it. Like, I think my opinion is that publicly he's going to own it, but privately it's going to be eating him up inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can almost see him. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nettles.
I was just going to say I finally have a Dragonfire take, but you said I don't see him.
I was going to say it's almost like he's going to have to live up to the reputation now. You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so who will win season 2, just to get the poll results? Ewan 38, Tom 29, Helena 20, and other, which is probably mostly Emma, is 14. So that's cool. It's going to be some strong acting for show. Go ahead, Nettles.
My Dragonfire take is too many dragons. Like, that's my only critique of season 1, is that I wanted to see the other regions. So like it was too much centered around the Targaryens and what's going on. Like I wanted at least, you know, episodes dedicated to introducing us to what it's like to live in Westeros in these times, and not just King's Landing. So yeah, we'll see. I think that my complaint will be remedied in season 2. I do think we'll be seeing other, you know, regions and meeting different people. But for season 1,
so too much focus on the Targaryens, basically. Yeah, I built the High Tower in my free time with artist Chetan Biswas. I was, you know, just wanting to see it so badly. So I do hope we get to see Old Town. We're gonna get a lot of cool Harrenhal scenes. this
Yeah.
year. We could see that already. And then we've seen a location in the Westerlands, which I believe is the Crag, and then as well as Rook's Rest. So it is going to be spreading out. And we're going to see the North
Yeah.
as well. So,
But it's not
um,
just like, oh, we'll see the castle in a 1 second frame. I liked in Game of Thrones where you would start in Bravos and you're seeing like a morning of people fetching water and what it's like. You know what I mean? Like what it's like for a regular person, like that kind of thing is what I mean. But we'll see. I do think we'll get that.
so Maynard, my hot take, and I think I can boil it down better, is that Rhaenyra and Alicent's hesitation to go to war is good. A lot of people complain about it. I think it's well done. I think it is realistic that people should be like, wait a second, you know, or like let's not necessarily go and do the atrocity option when someone raises their hand and be like, well, we could commit atrocities and war crimes. It's like, well, what other ideas do we have?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit concerned that it might turn into the women are hesitant and all the men are violent, but I don't think they're going to do something quite that overly simplified. I am assuming we will see some strategy on the part of Daemon and other people too, and not just like, let's kill them with our dragons, you know.
Yeah.
And my giant sword Petus, which I will slay everyone with. You know, it's like I'm hoping there's a little more than that. But overall, I like Alicent and Rhaenyra hesitating to go to war. I think that is good. That's my hot take. Maynard. Tim, what's your hot take?
Aegon's prophecy, I do kind of feel like it is shoehorned in. And not to say that the showrunners are shoehorning in. I feel like this is something that if George wanted, he should have placed into the story years back, and this seems more like a retcon that now he's trying to rectify with the show. But mixing book canon and show canon together just ends up being messy because you're always going to have purists saying, well, who was right, who was wrong, what can we take as true canon? So something as important as Aegon's prophecy, I feel like, is something that should have been brought up in the books originally, well before the show was even a thing.
I was a little surprised when George essentially dropped it in an interview. He was like, well, some say that Aegon invaded Westeros because there was a prophecy. And I was like,
Yeah.
no one's ever said that, George. You just said it now.
You said that because it sounds like it's something you forgot to add and just had, oh crap, I guess I better. It's like how the Varamir Six Skins prologue is like George being like, oh crap, I guess I need to explain the mechanics of green seeing, of skin changing.
Now, I will say that there is a lot of framework for it. It does make sense as a reveal because we see, Rhaegar was he was thinking about, the prince that was promised has a song of ice and fire. There must be one more. 3 heads as the dragon. Like, where did he get all that? Okay. We see Egg talking about all the dragon dreams and prophecies that his family is trying to interpret and stuff. So it makes sense, but it does feel like George missed something in like Storm that he was supposed to include. I get that criticism. I do think it works though, as far as like, oh, well, now Aegon's not a bloodthirsty conqueror. Now he had a reason to do it. And it's like, well, no, actually, if the fate of the world is depending on you running and unifying a realm, it puts more pressure on you to do it fairly and to create something that will last. And like Maegor the Cruel, for example, he endangered the Targaryen dynasty, just as Aenys did too, for being weak, let's say it as well. But like, it's incumbent upon the Targaryens to be good monarchs because they need to ostensibly be around with their dragons when the White Walkers come. That's how they're thinking. So to me, if you were overly attached to the idea of Aegon just being a conqueror for conqueror's sake, then I'm sorry, I guess that's gone. But this, in a fantasy world, to me, this fits. And it certainly doesn't justify any sort of Targaryen cruelty. It makes them more culpable as leaders, I think. That's my take on it.
like the fact that he fails to take Dorne also means that he fails in his own prophecy, which is to me is actually a great fantasy element because I always love that Morrowind line about prophecy. But like I said, it just feels like it came out of no. I'm not saying like it doesn't belong. It definitely belongs. It just feels like it came out of nowhere.
It did. It did a little bit. And I think it's funny that like the prophecy of ice and fire is the key to defeating the White Walkers. Because Arya stabbed the Night King with the prophecy. Like,
that exact night.
You didn't have to read it, but it was important.
It was really important.
The runes are what burned the Night King. It was the runes that did it. Anyway.
And they lost it to Littlefinger. How horrible.
Yeah, how did they let Littlefinger hold the prophecy knife? It's disgraceful.
But I do, sorry, Tim, but I do like the prophecy too because... especially if it came with Daenerys the Dreamer, because I do like chosen one narratives where it's like, why did Daenerys get the dream to leave for Westeros and no one else? Why didn't she save another Dragon Rider family? Like, if you get a dream that there's gonna be a doom, why don't you say, hey Emma, hey Lynette, like my friends, I'm going away, why don't you guys come too? But she only saved her family because I feel like, if you want to call it the Weirwood Neck or wherever people get dreams from, they save them because they knew we're gonna lose a lot of dragons, but we're gonna at least need one family to make it to the long night. Like we need at least one family of dragons.
That's a good question though, and it's like in the unwritten annals of history is after Daenerys the Dreamer has that prophetic dream, did the Targaryens try and warn anyone else and no one believed them, or did they just keep their mouth shut and just get out on their own and left everyone else to be like,
either one is believable. I've recently started to think about the Doom as like a TV show adaptation, and there's a lot there, especially when you consider that there may have been an abolitionist motivation. So like, for example, what if Daenerys dreamt of the Doom and then it became a plan? Like over time, her and Aenar became like, oh, this is what we're supposed to do, as opposed to, oh, this thing is going to happen. Like, this is how maybe they were already anti-slavery, and then Dany has this dream, and then over time, they're like, oh, this is horrible, but I think this is what we should do. Yeah. You know?
Like Daenerys could be like, Dad, we have to tell someone, and Aenar's like, no, we don't. But Dad, they're all good. No,
and maybe they did. Maybe people laughed at them. Maybe they did. And she was laughed out, and then they stopped talking. But who knows? Like, any of those things could be interesting. Go ahead, Nettles.
It's like Noah's Ark. Like, he did try to tell people, they laughed at him. And it was like this thing of like, we're going to destroy magic. We're going to destroy the earth with a flood. But y'all are the chosen family. Y'all are the only ones that are good. And so we chose you to do this. And so the reason we chose you is because we're going to need them dragons for the long night. Not all of them, because Valyria was acting crazy with the power. But you guys weren't acting crazy with the power, so you guys get to get on the ark.
So we don't, because it's also, we don't know if they had, so the prince that was promised prophecy is old. That was around. The idea that Azor Ahai reborn, prince that was promised, long night, something. But we don't know that they had, like, Aegon's prophecy was specifically that it's going to come from the Targaryen line, and the threat comes from the north, and that he's got to unify Westeros. That gets a little more specific. So it's likely that Daenerys and Aenar weren't thinking about conquesting Westeros yet, or at least possible that they weren't.
Yeah, it was just about, we got to survive.
Dealing with Valyria, I think. But there's there's just so many avenues for a good story there, so yeah. Let me see if I missed one of this super chats. Tom Glencarney. Yeah, we definitely mentioned that. I picked him for my breakout actor, and yeah, so we definitely talked about him. Nettles, they're liking your take the best. That we need to explore the rest of the realm. That is in the lead. 26% agree with Tim that the prophecy is a bit forced, and about the same agree with me that hesitation before war is a good thing, actually. There we go. So we already talked about who's winning the war. That's pretty much it, yeah. So Who's pumped for tomorrow night? Ugh, it's gonna be exciting.
Hold on, I'm trying to write to Summertime because she says she's never read Fire and Blood and she has questions. So I'm like, I guess I'll just say it instead of typing it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Summertime. Tell us what if you wrote your question, I didn't see it, so write it again. Since you haven't seen it. But yeah, I'm pumped for tomorrow. Tomorrow's my birthday.
Oh,
June 16th, Gemini.
wow.
It is our time, Gemini season. So yeah, I'm pumped for tomorrow. It's a very nice birthday present for me.
Very cool. Well, you know, I was thinking about the fact that the Game of Thrones fandom kind of started with watch parties. It started with people gathering together to watch the episodes, and I definitely did that the first few seasons with a lot of my friends before I was in the fandom or anything. And so I hope some of that is coming back. I hope some of you guys are getting together and watching it together. I think Maynard's going to be coming over here to watch the episodes and help me do the live show. So I'll have him over there.
Yeah.
And he just wished you a happy birthday in the chat, by the way, Nettles.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, yeah, it's. I am like last year. I saw the premiere early. This year, I have not seen it, so I don't know really what to expect. I've heard a few things online, but it's hard to know what's reliable. So, it's going to be gripping. It's going to be epic. Blood and Cheese will be in one of the first two episodes. Not sure which one, but it's definitely happening early in the season. Mm-hmm. So that might be the first week. And wow, you know.
So, my birthday is in August, so I'm not going to get a birthday present from the season. But when the season is over with, if George delivers the news that I'm hoping he delivers at Worldcon in August, that'll be it. And if he doesn't, those of you in Scotland, if George does not have a manuscript for wins when he gets there, you better march that old man to Hadrian's Wall and say, "This inspired you the first time. Do it again."
Sit here.
I was gonna say you got to hook him up to one of those Tyroshi strangulation devices that Ares used on Brandon Stark. But
there's no sulfuric lake to imprison him in.
He said something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he had, because the last Worldcon that he attended was in 2019. He said, if I do not show up at the 2020 in New Zealand, you have permission to imprison me in a cabin overlooking the sulfuric lake. But then the pandemic happened, and he hasn't been at a Worldcon since. Not 2021, not 2022. So it's been 5 years since he's been at a Worldcon, and he would be very naive to think that any of us have forgotten what he said at the last one that he went to.
I love the way you said that.
Scott, get the cabin ready.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I am optimistic. I have not talked about it too much. I will just simply say it does have to be finished at some point. It's been a long time. Why not this year? We know it's not like he's doesn't want to finish it. Like, he's been working on it. He's almost done. Every day that passes, he's a little closer. So even though it seems like it'll never happen because it's taken so long, like, it does have to come out at some point. So I am hopeful. I think the Worldcon thing is the biggest clue to put hope in. But I've just been through this so many times. I can only I have to distance myself emotionally from it.
Or if you saw Quinn the GM's video, he also talked. Apparently, some company was they're catering an event for a prominent New Mexico writer, a dragon cake for his long-awaited book.
Yeah, I heard that. We've all heard that rumor. It's floating around. It may or may not have worked its way into the script of my latest Rhaegar ad, which will be coming out next week. I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll all lose our minds appropriately if and when that announcement comes, is all I can say.
Yeah.
But
we'll
really
see.
pumped for the season. It is going to be great. The dragon fights, I have a feeling, are just going to leave people just shaking. Like, Rook's Rest is going to be nuts. So
yeah, Rook's Rest better be the best of the whole season.
Blood and
also,
cheese.
don't forget. What were you saying, Tim?
For me, it was getting Blood and seeing exactly what goes down with Blood and Cheese and seeing more of Harrenhal. Yeah, I definitely want to get that horror vibe for
The Harrenhal scenes look incredible. Go ahead, Nettles.
No, I was just gonna say, don't forget tomorrow is not only my birthday, not only the premiere of House of the Dragon, but also Father's Day. So if you guys forgot, anyone in the chat, you could still probably order some edible arrangements for your hungry dad or
That's what
something
my
to
dad
think
had today.
So, and then the other
yeah.
thing somebody asked about where they could get a hold of us with theories and stuff. You could comment on any of our YouTube videos. That's always a good way. Like most of people read their comments. So, if it's relevant to the video you're commenting on, that makes it more likely we'll engage with it. But also, I have the Discord link that I give out to all of my YouTube channel members and Patreon members. So that's a great place to get a hold of me and put your theories as well. So,
Yep.
there is that.
Yeah,
When Wins comes out, the theories will die like flies. Some of my theories will die. Some of Preston Jacobs' theories will die. Some of everyone's theories will die. It'll be a theory holocaust, but there will be new theories born
Oh,
from
baby.
the ashes.
Yeah.
I promise that.
Yep.
So we'll see. And maybe we'll get some of them right. That'll be fun too. So, like the Damon song, the song that Damon sung to Vermithor, if you look at those lyrics, I really think it is all about lemur theory and the dragon bond and all that stuff, which I explained in the Damon song video. But like that was a deep lore cut right there. I'm hoping for more stuff like that.
YouTubers will rise and fall when that book comes out. Someone
Yes.
said Blood and Cheese on Father's Day, and I'm like, well, don't they always have crazy episodes on Father's Day, like Ned's beheading was Father's Day, Tyrion killing Tywin. Spoilers if you haven't seen Game of Thrones. That was on Father's Day. So that's par for the course. So just letting you know, whoever wrote that in the chat.
So real quick, somebody was just asking, in case I didn't make it clear. Yes, we will be here going live tomorrow after the episode, probably 5 or 10 minutes after it's over. I will show you real quick. This is that'll be the banner. So look for that in your YouTube feed. And that'll be us, the after party with Alicent and her candles. So I see you. No, look, I've imprisoned you inside the high tower, Nettles. I don't know if that's fully sunk in. You are in the high tower right now, like the Maiden Vault. You are trapped.
It looks like it. It really does.
I don't know.
The borders.
How does that make you feel?
I'm ready. I have a dragon. Like there's not many things that can scare me, and I'm definitely not scared of no high towers.
And look, we're not on the Otto level, okay? Otto doesn't get access to the cool levels of the high tower with all the old books and the book of spells and the glass candle. That's where we are, okay? So,
33rd level of being a Mason. Okay.
Yes, the 33rd level. Exactly. Don't get it twisted. So,
Otto's, your clearance has been revoked.
oh, he's never had it. He never had it. No.
Otto's level 7. But
Even his older brother, what's his name?
Hothor.
Yeah, he's not. He doesn't have clearance. He's not in charge.
That's a
He
mean
can't
older brother. I am
He
scared
can't
of
walk up
him.
all the stairs.
He had a good presence in that second episode where he was just the smarmy, like,
Yeah.
King Aegon, I am clapping treason openly. Like, yeah, he's great.
Imagine growing up in the house with him. Yeah.
Oh,
no.
so when you showed the high tower and I was talking about all the stairs, somebody said like, well, I said because there's no elevator, but then someone suggested like maybe some kind of like dumbwaiter system. But that's all. You know how easy it is to get stuck in a dumbwaiter? If there was a dumbwaiter for the high tower, that would be terrifying to get trapped in it.
Well, people have mentioned the baskets at the Erie. You know, you could have some kind of lift. I'm assuming there's a lift.
Even the Night's Watch has like an elevator.
Yeah.
Castle Black.
Yeah. There's some rickety, dangerous thing. Yeah, people probably die in it all the time, Tim. It's very old.
Yeah. It's very cagey the way this works.
Yeah, and they can always arrange for an accident to happen if they need to. So, anyways, thanks for joining us, guys. And we will see you tomorrow after the show. We can't wait. It's going to be nuts. This chat will be moving a little bit faster, but we'll be happy to see all of you. And we'll definitely be taking super chat questions. So one of the things about doing this format as opposed to going through each scene is I think it will allow us to be more flexible, to take more questions from the chat and hop around wherever it makes sense. So
Yeah.
hoping it works for us and makes it light on its feet. So yeah, thank you for coming. And that's it. We will see you tomorrow.
See you
After the
tomorrow.
episode.
Yeah, someone was asking why should they choose us. Just do it as a birthday present to me. The first one of the seasons. Maybe you might go somewhere else for the rest of the season, but at least this first one, give us a chance to earn your
That's
earn your
it. Give us a
viewership.
chance. See if you like us.
Yeah.
If it's not your cup of tea, then whatever. But
And it's my birthday.
It's her birthday, so there you go. I mean, we have someone from the show. We have the Nettles on our show. I don't know what else you want. And look at Tim's shirt.
Look at Tim's shirt.
Oh yeah, more reason the theme shirts that I always wear.
That's right, Tim. You're part of the attraction too, Tim.
Definitely. And Damon.
Soapy Wood and David, no doubt. Soapy Wood's Witch, welcome to Square Show. Thank you very much. So yeah, guys, see you tomorrow after the show. Been real. Thank you very much. Cheers.